Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Maverick News channel. Hello Maverick family. Well, let's see where tonight's broadcast takes us. I apologize for the technical problems last night. Internet issues. I think we have resolved them for now. Quite a night it was. President's State of the Union address. I was able to finally get a feed up to carry just the raw feed from Washington last night, and I see that many of you actually made your way back over there and were able to populate the chat and watch the show. I hope you brought your popcorn. It was, in many ways, entertaining. In other ways, maybe inspiring to some people, depending on your political point of view. For others, a discouragement. So, such is politics, and we are going to get into some pretty thick politics tonight. We will be talking about free speech, censorship, warfare, artificial intelligence, the weaponization of artificial intelligence, the OpenAI issue, Tumbler Ridge, the Canadian government's response to the lack of response from OpenAI with regard to the Tumbler Ridge school shootings, the tragedy that occurred out there, where AI is taking us, the dangers of it, and the reckless behavior and attitude of a young man who has access to things that explode and can kill people. We'll show you that tonight as well. The debates rage, the controversy swirls, the broadcast continues when we come back on the other side of this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News. Defending free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Did you watch the State of the Union address last night? Still making headlines today. Some people calling it historic, other people calling it a disaster. What's your opinion? Let me find the feed, make sure that everything is running properly tonight on all of our channels. I think we are okay. I hope after last night. Just checking in on. Yeah, it looks, yes, we're rocking and rolling, so that's good. And the audio is good. Wow, unbelievable. Things are actually working tonight. And hello, everybody in the chat. Arthur, Dragon, Stoic Teacher, Lindy. I had one of our regulars message me last night, overnight, saying they're going to step away from Maverick News because the chat is too, well, hateful. Longtime viewer. That's disappointing. We've been saying we're going to have a program dedicated to reviewing and reflecting on our chat policies and so on. I do not have time to look at what is going on in the chat very much, but that issue plays into some of what we're going to talk about this evening. Now, back to the State of the Union address, because that is really where a lot of this stuff for tonight begins. The president's address focused on immigration. It focused on the economy, on tariffs, public safety. And what I found is that, true to form, much of what he said just was a fabrication, an exaggeration in many cases, but not really grounded entirely in truth. In fact, some of it was just straight up lies, but that is Trump's stock in trade. And yet, through all of that, there is a raw truth that comes from all of his untruths. I'll explain, I think, to a degree anyway, tonight as we discuss this. Case in point, Trump saying inflation 1.7%. It's not accurate, not even based on the official data coming from the United States government itself. In January, he referenced core inflation at 1.6% over a 3-month period. I think he's cherry picking some data to create numbers that really are not accurate, because those numbers do not align with the standard official year-over-year core inflation metrics used by the government and economists. Most put inflation at around 2.5% year over year. And that is, well, that's considerably higher. In fact, in some cases, almost double what President Trump was pegging inflation at last night. But that is, that's kind of the way he rolls, right? If he doesn't like the numbers, he just makes up new ones. And even the price of gasoline, we have highlighted this exact issue many times, where he talks about gasoline being down around, $1.70. Last night he said it was as low as $1.85 in Iowa. You might find it maybe at a gas station someplace for $1.85, but you can go online. You can just simply go to the American Automobile Association website, Gas Buddy, and check prices all across the United States. You can do it on the internet in Canada too, but in the U.S., AAA reports Iowa's average at $2.55 for a gallon of gasoline. Yeah, about $2.55, up about 8 to 9 cents in the past week. 3 cents lower than a month ago and roughly 42 cents lower than a year ago. I do think gasoline is less expensive than it was when Biden was in office, but Trump exaggerates. He certainly does, because we're living in an age of, what would be the right word? I was, my brother called me the other day, and well, actually, it was a while ago. He lives out in BC, and he says, we're living in the age of conspiracy. And yeah, we are. We are living in the age of conspiracy, but it's more than that. Uh, it's about constructed realities. It's not just about conspiracies. It's about shaping the way people view the world. It's about half truths. It's about lies. It's about manufacturing consent. It's about information warfare. It's about being in the matrix, which is where we are right now. We really are in the matrix. And I'm part of the whole equation, right? Trump, he's the master. His administration, MAGA, they've turned information warfare into an art form. And a big part of that is it's not just about being in the matrix. It's about knowing how to use information and convey information and use his bully pulpit, use his profile, use his prominent position and his credibility being in the White House to amplify messages that just make him look better. If people believe something to be true, it becomes true for them. So you can tell people the gasoline is $1.85. It doesn't matter if it's $1.85. If people believe it, then it's so. You see what I'm saying? But it is the Gulf of Mexico. So he just was throwing numbers out as he always does, and it's really not. It's not true. You can go online right now. You might find it for $1.85. I'll tell you what, let's do that. Is it true? I hate to be a fact checker, but here we go. Gas prices, USA. Let's take a look. I'll bring this up on the screen so we can do it all together. And we're going to get in. This is going to flow. You'll see, this will flow into our discussion on AI tonight and the Pentagon's weaponization of AI on many levels. Okay, let's take a look. Here we are. So national retail prices, the lowest, $2.63 to $2.40. Way down here in Texas, $2.60, $2.56, Mississippi, Arkansas, Oklahoma, $2.45, $2.76. Is there anybody at like $1.85 anywhere? $3.58 in Alaska. Why did they put Alaska down here? They chopped Alaska off and put it down into the sunny south. Well, they're enjoying some better weather there. Oregon, $3.92. Washington, $4.35. California, $4.63. That's a reflection of the high taxes there. The national average, $2.97. Minnesota, $2.78. $2.53 in Wisconsin. $3 in New York. $3 in Michigan. Wisconsin. I don't know. I'm not really seeing. North Dakota, Wyoming, $2.70. Maine. I don't see $1.85 anyplace. Anywhere? So I don't know, man. Maybe he was driving along and there was one gas station someplace and he happened to see a sign for $1.85. My guess is the place was probably closed, has been for about, say 50 years. And the sign still had the price up. I have no idea where he gets the stuff other than just off the top of his head. Makes it up. Maybe. Anybody got any proof of $1.85 anyplace? Rosemary Mack, is it true we just gave $8 million to Cuba? I don't know. Probably not. It's probably not true. But I know Canada's going to offer some aid of some kind to Cuba. We heard Anita Anand say that last night. Because Trump is choking the country off. He's got it blockaded. Nothing's getting in, nothing's getting out. And since I just happened to mention that because it came up in the chat, did you see that there were 4 people killed aboard a Florida registered speedboat that opened fire on soldiers in Cuba? That's a breaking story tonight. Cuban soldiers killing 4 people, wounding 6 others aboard a Florida registered speedboat, entered Cuban waters, opened fire first on soldiers, then we've got this, and the Cuban government making a public statement on this, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio also told reporters today that he was made aware of the incident with Cuban soldiers, and he says the U.S. is gathering its own information on the incident to determine if the victims were American citizens or permanent residents. So things escalate. Who knows what that's going to mean? Don't know. I have to get some details on it. J.D. Vance saying this afternoon that he has been briefed on the incident by Rubio, and he says the White House is monitoring the situation, but declining to make any other comments, saying only he said, hopefully it's not as bad as we fear it could be. That's alarming. Volatile situation. Cuban government trying to cling to power when people get desperate if they don't have food, garbage piling up, public sanitation becoming a problem. They don't have any fuel. They can't even put gasoline into garbage trucks to pick up the trash. Is that fair? Is that right? Is that a sign of a failing nation, or is that a sign of a nation that is being choked to death by a superpower? Is that an indication that communism doesn't work, or is it an indication that somebody with a lot more power and a lot bigger economy and a military that is invincible has surrounded you and is not letting anything in and not letting anything out? And if you're an island, you should be able to prosper by trading with other nations, sending out what you have to get what you need, coming back in return. But if you're isolated, no trade allowed, you can't get the diversification of goods into your economy to serve your people, keep people alive. Yeah. Just looking in the chat, Vicky says because of Trump stealing it. Yeah, well, that's kind of what happened in Venezuela, right? Because that's where Cuba was getting its oil. Venezuela, not anymore. That's the state. That's the truth. That's the bitter, naked truth that Trump really puts on display. He was on display last night because when you're that powerful, I guess you can just make stuff up and get away with it. That's really the message. He can do whatever he wants. He can even lie. And then he was doing lots of that last night. And people cheer for it. You know, I'm telling you, it's like the Jack Nicholson line, right? You can't handle the truth. Well, a lot of people don't want the truth. They'd rather live the lie because it makes them feel better. It's not only that, it's like oil production. We're talking about oil. He said that oil production is up 600,000 barrels a day. Not accurate. He's made similar claims in other speeches. Just back in January, in his office address, he mentioned U.S. oil production was up by 730,000 barrels a day. Last night, it was $600,000 a day. Can't keep his numbers straight. So we have these data points. from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. U.S. field production of crude oil averages around 13.7 million barrels per day in recent weeks. And so production, I did make some notes on this. U.S. oil production is strong and stable. The U.S., I think, is the largest producer of oil in the world now, again. But there's no evidence of a $600,000 per barrel day surge in official EIA data. I'm just going through the numbers here. From what I saw last night. It's not true. Near record highs, but not that high, not 600,000 a day. You've got some short-term weekly spikes. You got these references to potential Venezuelan oil flows. He's touted 30 to 50 million barrels from seized and controlled Venezuelan stockpiles stolen. But even Venezuela's output is low. So U.S. oil production strong, stable, near all-time highs, but there's no evidence of a recent $600,000 per barrel day surge. But that kind of fit in the whole pattern of Trump's State of the Union and prior remarks, highlighting peak figures or optimistic projections, overstating the scale and immediacy of gains. And then even the claim of what they took from Venezuela, doesn't even appear to be accurate. It appears to be an exaggeration or a rounding up. He's saying, 80 million barrels? But the numbers look like they're about 30 to 50 million in a handover. There's just no evidence to support 80 million as an accurate current or achieved figure from Venezuela under U.S. control. It's just we're winning big. Are you tired of winning? One thing he was accurate on, though, was the number of Americans that taken off food stamps. He says they've lifted 2.4 million Americans off food stamps. I suppose, I guess that's accurate, but other people are saying they've been kicked off food stamps. So it depends on the way you phrase things, right? That's shaping your reality. They lifted them off. You don't need those food stamps. We'll just take those away. You didn't need those, did you? Now, you could say that that's because they've created more jobs, so they put more people to work. They don't need the food stamps anymore. But also, the employment numbers he keeps citing are not accurate at all. The tariffs not having the positive impact on the economy that he just keeps saying. He just makes the statement, he just makes a claim, he just claims a win, even though there's nothing to support it. And in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I have a video on tariffs. I have to go find the link for you. I'll grab it here. This is a fantastic presentation on tariffs. I'll get you the link. If you have any interest in understanding how tariffs work at all, this is a lecture from Duke University, the Hayek Lecture Series, sponsored by the Center for the History of Political Economy and Philosophy. And this is Douglas Irwin, Duke University, Douglas Irwin, and it's John French, professor of economics at Dartmouth College. I watched this overnight, and it's just so concise, so clear, and so accurate. Here, I'll put the link up there for you. I don't need to run it. This is what I've been I have been trying to convey to people with regard to the tariffs, it hurts everybody. Nobody wins in a tariff war. What Trump is doing is damaging the United States. The true damage has not yet been seen or felt. There are delays in the impacts from these things because companies stock up before the tariffs hit. Then you have stockpiles of goods in the economy that then filter out over time, flow into the economy. Just there's so many factors that play into the dynamics. It's difficult to understand, and there are always unintended consequences because so many different things start to happen. I've got the link here for you. I'll go over here to Rumble and put it in the chat over there. Duke University tariffs lecture. Watch it. You'll be a lot smarter for having watched it. It's an excellent, excellent video. Explains why Trump's way off base with these tariffs and the whole administration. It's like he treats tariffs. Trump treats trade like it's bad. Trading is a bad thing because in his mind, he thinks that if the United States is importing anything or buying anything from anybody, that's a negative. And that if the United States is selling something out, that's a positive. But it can actually be a win-win because if you're buying something, you're getting a benefit from it and you can get inputs even for your economy, and you can buy inputs for factories to make things, to amplify the wealth. You can add value in the production chain, the supply chain, all the way along through the manufacturing process and all the way down the line, and produce goods and services that are produced for lower cost to improve the standard of living for everyone. But anyway, you just watch the video if you're interested. We don't have to get into the nitty-gritty on that. But he was talking about the tariffs and why it's one of his favorite words. What is it? The best word in the dictionary? He's just in love with tariffs. He's tariff man. It's terrifying is what it is. It's so disruptive and so misguided. The United States is being isolated because of it. And the United States is going to lose. It's slowly crashing the economy. Have you seen the price of Bitcoin? It has lost so much value. It's a reflection of what Trump is doing with these tariff policies. It's down to about, last time I checked, it was about 65,000 US, where it was up around 124,000 just months ago, which was too much. But this isn't just a correction. This is a price collapse. Some are concerned it could go much lower. Much will depend on what Trump does with these trade talks. Canada, talking to India now, making deals with Mexico, carve-out deal with China, medium power, Canada, we're diversifying. This is what's happening because of the tariffs. Other countries are turning away from the United States, smiling to Trump's face, but afraid of this man and everything he is doing, and rightly so. More fear coming out of that State of the Union address last night. Mixed reactions. It depends on what team you're on, what you're hearing or what you're saying, what you want to believe. Robert De Niro, longtime critic of Donald Trump. Here he is saying he feels betrayed by his country.
The bottom line is that I feel betrayed by my country. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to return to the values that gave us our strength and humanity. If you want our leaders to be accountable, if you're devoted to the Constitution and the rule of law, if you want the United States of America to be worthy of your love, be ready to take this to the streets together, and we will take our country back. The bottom line is that I feel.
So that's De Niro on the other side of the fence. You have people like Mr. Bannon, Stephen Bannon, who, even though he's no longer, I don't think, Trump's good graces, and is suffering because of his connections to Epstein and the information revealed about him in the Epstein files, he's still loyal to Trump, and he should be. He got that pardon from Trump, so he owes El Presidente. Oh, should I say that? That sounds very Spanish, and I don't want to give the middle finger to half the population.
That was not a speech. That was a historic moment. He called out these demons, these traitors, these haters of America to their face, not simply on national TV, but on global television. It was magnificent. That was not a speech. That was a.
So he's still like a Trump faithful loyalist. Nick Fuentes, not so much. He has gone scorched earth on Trump of late. I have not previewed this clip, but I saw it up before we came on air, so I've got it queued. I want to hear it. He apparently goes full savage on Trump in this clip, so let me share it with you. Hang on, do I have the right? No, I have to bring it up over here. Too many tabs. Okay. So this is a guy who should be very much in Trump's camp, and I think, one time he was, but he's just not Nazi enough for Nick Fuentes.
This is exciting, but get ready. This is about as good as it gets. Okay? You guys really need to steel yourselves, because the speech is going to start and then it is just going to grind down and it's going to get slow. And you know how Trump is now. Trump is like retarded now. That's right. And I love Trump. I still have love in my heart for Trump, honest to God. I really do.
Oh,
I know that's even controversial because I'm so critical and people view him now as the Epstein protector. I really do have love in my heart for Trump. I do. But he's like retarded now. He's not the same animal. You look at him in 2016, it's a different animal. And honestly, don't take my word for it. Go watch him. Go watch him in the 2016 primary debates. Watch him in interviews. He's literally a different guy. So much more energy, so much sharper. Now he's like slow. The way he repeats himself, his dentures are falling out, tripping over his words. And there's like a weirdness now too. Very bizarre tangents. He's weaving. Please, Netanyahu, if you can hear us, prevent him from weaving. Netanyahu, if you can hear us, get in the teleprompter, no weave. Please. No weave. It's not good. Can someone get this message? Can someone please call Donald Trump? Please call down. No weave. I'm begging you.
Nick Fuentes says he wants Republicans to lose the midterms because Trump's just not going hard enough. And there was that N-word. I used it. The N-word. The N-word. What are you talking about, Rick? The N-word. Yeah, the N-word. There's a new political correctness out there. Have you not noticed? You're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to use that. Only in very, very isolated circumstances. Only in certain situations are you allowed to use the N-word, apparently. Really? What do you mean? I don't know if you've noticed, but you're not allowed to criticize people on the right anymore. You're not allowed to you're certainly not allowed to use that N-word. Well, not only is it not really YouTube friendly to some degree, apparently you can only use it in one way. And Danielle Smith is a language cop now. See, because you have to remember that it's a new era. I came across this clip the other day. It ties into this, so I'll play it for you. I didn't really plan to play it tonight, but here she is. This was, I don't know, how many days ago was this? I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago now. Here's Danielle Smith being a language cop when asked a question about her immigration referendum thing, and somebody's, well, you listen to this and then listen to the way she says, you're not allowed to use that word. It's gross.
Today, Rachel Notley and Thomas Lukaszuk have thrown out accusations of Nazi tactics when referring to this immigration approach. Could you comment on that as well, please?
That's gross. It's just disgusting. Any mention to, if you're going to call somebody a Nazi, you better be referring to the Holocaust and the devastation that caused to the Jewish people. That is disgusting language, and it should never be used. If they want to have a serious conversation about immigration levels, let's have it. That's what a referendum is all about. And quite frankly, as I've mentioned, this is the same kind of policy that was affirmed last week by the federal government when it came to saying that temporary foreign workers should have private insurance when they arrive. It's the same policy that already exists in Ontario. And we are asking Albertans if they want to have a system that puts Albertans, citizens, as well as permanent residents first when it comes to taxpayer-funded programs, and then have reasonable premiums and the ability of those who are temporary to access the programs with their own resources. But that kind of language has no place in this debate.
Well, there's a shield you can wear. What happens though? So you're only allowed to use the word Nazi if you're referring to the Jewish Holocaust in World War II. Can't use it for any other reason. Danielle Smith says so. She's the language cop. Is that not some sort of new neo-political correctness? I thought we were supposed to be all about free speech now and no more compelled speech, right? What do they say about you? If you know who's got the power when you know who you can't criticize? What happens though? How are you supposed to prevent repeating history if you can't talk about the history? Oh, but only in that one context. So Nazis are only, okay. So you can't call somebody a Nazi unless you're referring to the World War II Jewish Holocaust. Got it? Because if you do, that's just gross. And I don't know what the consequences might be for that. Then I came across this. Just before, I just thought about it. I came across this today. Let's see if I can, oh, here it is right here. Here it is right here. This is an online debate. I haven't watched the whole thing. This is, what's her name there? Candace Malcolm from Juno News, having a discussion with Toronto Star journalist Justin Ling, who's also done work for the CBC. I think that N-word might come up here. Okay, let's let it roll.
For all I know, he was said.
This was repeatedly put forward by you and other people like you, that it was some plan that the government put in there, which is ludicrous.
I let you speak. Now it's my turn to speak, Justin.
I let you speak. Go ahead.
Okay, so again, go to any protest in Canada, and you will see this kind of rhetoric. I don't like it. I don't think it's good when they're calling it when they're calling Danielle Smith treasonous, which, by the way, BC Premier David Eby recently implied that and actually used the word treasonous. So it's not just one way here, right? You see this stuff about Donald Trump. You see, dangerous, hateful rhetoric against that guy. I don't hear you guys complaining about it or saying that it's somehow a threat to our system, right? You go to any of these Islamist protests and you will see people with Nazi flags, and they're actually talking about it in the actual context of the Nazis, like, hey, let's burn the Jews, let's kill the Jews. That's literally what they're saying. It's gross, But you see these kind of fringe lunatics, maniacs at the convoy, at any protest in the country, right? So the people that drew the swastikas on the flag, and you brought up the Michael Cooper example, perfect example of fake news. An MP shows up on the Hill to meet with his constituents, to meet with concerned Canadians. Someone in the far background has written something on a Canadian flag, and that becomes a top story in the country. So much so we're still talking about it 4 years later that CBC pushed out totally fake news that somehow Michael Cooper was a Nazi because he was at a protest.
No one said that.
And someone in the background behind him drew a swastika because they were saying that the Trudeau government is acting like Nazis with these government overreach policies. Okay, I don't agree with that line of reasoning, but we should at least be honest about what they're saying, right? They're not saying gas the Jews. Actually, that's what some of the Islamists are saying. What these protesters were saying is we feel like the government is stepping on us and crushing us, and we don't like it. And that makes us think that your government is like Nazi Germany. Again, not my view, but let's at least be honest about what the people were saying and not put words into their mouth and pretend that they're actually extreme. Again, I say go to any protest in this country and you'll find crazy people. You'll find crazy people. Go anywhere in the country and you'll find people with views that you will find shocking, right? And this is again why I call you Justin Ling and Elite. And guess what? Anyone in Canada can play this game. Oh, I come from working class, blue collar origins. We all do. Okay, we all do. It's a country of resource extraction. So we all come from those backgrounds. But I call you an elite because you sit there from your laptop and you judge and you look down on these people and you say, oh, look at these extreme views. I'm going to apply them to everybody. And then, no, we shouldn't talk to them. We shouldn't talk to them. You know, there's hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of Canadians that were represented by those truckers. I wanted them to talk to my leaders. That's the purpose of a democracy. I wanted my leaders.
Okay, let me give Justin a chance to respond.
And they refused to.
Oh, but they don't give them a chance to respond in the clip. All right. I haven't seen the whole interview. I'm just saying. Not allowed to use the word Nazi, but the word Nazi comes up, then she's labeling the Islamists or the whatever Nazis. But don't you dare call these people out there traitors or use treason. Can't use that. Can't call separatists traitors. Can't call separatists treasonous. Can't call anybody. Can't call any of those people Nazis. Well, I'll tell you something. I've seen the people. I've heard them call themselves that and wear it like a badge of honor. Oh, yeah. I've listened to those X spaces. I've dropped in from time to time. But you're not allowed to call him that. Or Danielle Smith, I don't know what she'll do, but she ain't going to be happy. That's the new N-word. Not allowed to use that. Only in one context. I'll tell you right now, that's BS. There's more to being a Nazi than just not liking Jews. There's a lot more to it. Fascism, Ronald Reagan got it wrong. You know that clip that we said here? He got it right, but he got it wrong. If fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the form of liberalism. I don't know about that. See, it hasn't come to America or the world this time around in the form of liberalism. It has come to us in a form that nobody really recognized. It's something new. It's converging, the left and the right. That's why I think language policing can be pretty dangerous. How do you call something out if you're not allowed to use the word? Maybe the people who are afraid of the word being used have a reason they're afraid of the word being used.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
We'll pivot here just a bit. Start to make our way into tonight's top story. The weaponization of AI connected to everything we've been talking about. The reason we're highlighting this is because really a couple of things. First, Pete Hegseth's demands on OpenAI and the Canadian government meeting with executives of OpenAI, because we know that OpenAI became aware of and had Jesse Van Rootselaar on their radar before that person committed the mass shooting out in Tumbler Ridge, BC, killing all those kids, the teacher, but chose to not report it because of privacy concerns and OpenAI policies regarding privacy. I indicated 2 nights ago, I think it was 2 nights ago. Yeah, it would have been somebody, one of our viewers, asked me why we let or use private companies for our security. So it was, I think, maybe just not a finely tuned enough question. And I'm not sure why the question came my way, but I said I would look at it and consider it overnight before I responded by email. So I will do that here partly tonight. Maybe it was because we had that transgender person on for an interview. Maybe it may be because of that. Maybe somebody's upset. Maybe they think that I need to be held accountable for defending a transgender person. I gave someone a voice. I allowed someone to exercise their right to free speech and bring their side of a very complex story to the channel. I don't know if the question is meant to try to rope me into a corner or something and say, look how woke that guy is. If giving people free speech is woke, then whatever. But I do believe in free speech. With free speech comes accountability, though. I've been thinking a lot about that, because the free speech issue rearing its head again in the chat as I get this message overnight from someone who says they are stepping away from our platform because there are too many hateful people in the chat. I don't have time to monitor the chat to a degree where I would really understand what is going on in there so that I fully understand what that's all about. But we are going to have a broader conversation about it. I can say this, though. One of the things that I have taken note of is the number of people who use fake names. Free speech, true free speech, needs to come with a degree of accountability. If you're going to say something, you need to be aware of what you're saying because there could be consequences. There are always consequences, but you should be held accountable for what you say. I am. I'm me. This is really who I am. I'm a real person in the Matrix. But what I say, when it goes out there, it's being heard by everyone. People are always holding me accountable for what I say. People in the chat, who it was pointed out to me by the person who messaged me last night, that person said to me that I let people, what was the word, attack me all the time. I don't pay attention that much. I know people are attacking me, and yet I've given them their own platform to do just that over on one's channel specifically, because I'm trying not to be so censorious that we're banning people for life or anything. So we're still giving people a platform, even when what they're engaged in is not good faith discussion, when they just want to sit there and attack me for the sake of attacking me and trying to, shut everything down here, I guess. Whatever it is, I don't even think they really hate me as much as they let on. I think actually they kind of love me. And I'm loving them back. If you are engaged in putting your message out, though, I think you're a freaking coward if you're hiding behind a fake name. You are a coward. Because you can then say whatever you want. No accountability for that. Nobody coming to your door. Cowards. Who are you? What's your name? You want to come in here and kick me in the groin every night for the sake of kicking me in the groin because you disagree or because you want to exploit the platform to reach an audience here. You want to reach this audience, and we don't even know who you are because you're cowards. Every one of you. Wearing masks. Every night. I'm right out here in the open. Taking it on the chin. You go ahead. Yeah, 1272B51. That's your opinion, and you're welcome to it, whoever the hell you are. Separatist. Friend of the channel. Take your mask off. Then maybe we'll have a real conversation. What are you afraid of? Surge 2926. Fuck you, Rick. Fuck you back, Surge 2926. Fuck you back. How about that? Whoever the hell you are, you coward. And I have the best viewers. And it's just a game. Surge 2926 had a message removed by a moderator earlier, I see. I'm in the chat now. I don't go in here too much because I basically don't care because they're just a bunch of juvenile delinquents. Not you guys, just the ones with the masks on. We're in there just causing problems. You don't even really know what their real objective is. Cowards, 1272B51. Coward. Yeah, 1272B51. Trust me, Rick, if authorities want to know who I am, they'll have no problem locating me. Yeah, you're still a fucking coward. You're not telling anybody here who you are, coward. We'll have a further discussion about all of this in the nights ahead. About all of this, you fake fucks. How's that? How about over here on the other channel? You're all fake fucks too. You're a fake fuck. You're a coward. You're a coward. You're a coward. You're all cowards. With your fake names, avoiding accountability. Coward, 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 dog, cowards. Wearing masks. afraid to show your face, afraid to tell us who you are. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to know what's going on? No, I'm not telling you what's going on with that. That's none of your damn business. That's none of your damn business. Yeah, you're all cowards. Got no use for you till you tell me who you are. Till then, I'll decide what to do. I don't know. Oh, I'm on another channel there, Cindy. I'm on another channel. Another chat and another channel with a bunch of cowards and not very nice people. I'm not that upset, Rosemary Mack. What'd be another good word? Pussies. Yeah. Whatever. That's okay. Just keep watching. Let's take a little break. We'll come back. What a game. That's all it is. It's just a game that they're playing. It all ties into what we're going to talk about on the other side of this.
Maverick News isn't just a news outlet, it's a community of truth seekers. Your donation at freedomreporters.com fuels our mission to report the stories that mainstream media won't touch. Thank you, Maverick family.
Brightleaf Innovations is excited to offer our newest investment opportunity. The Turn Easy Bed Storage Solution.
Turns with a touch, spins all the way around. Every little thing you need is easy to be found. No more clutter, no more mess on the floor. Just spin it, reach it, you don't search anymore. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world. Treasures to protect, built-in power when you need to recharge. Smart design that makes your bedroom feel large. Turn Easy Bed, spin your world around. Storage made simple, the best you found. Shelves your way, keep the mess away. Charge it, store it, developed by Brightleaf Innovations, proudly Canadian and patent pending in North America. Turn Easy Bed transforms how you live.
To learn more about this innovative new product idea and exciting investment opportunity, call 519-784-0222 or visit brightleafinnovations.com.
So last night I started to comment about, until we had all the internet problems, about what's going on down in Mexico with the cartel war. Continuing to follow that. It's an evolving situation. But I took note of the influencers who just happened to be on the scene just in time to capture video of burning cars and the chaos and bring that to us. It's coincidence? Maybe not. It makes me wonder sometimes how these things are coordinated. Why we're suddenly seeing, why do these influencers end up here and then over there at just the right time? And it's pretty clear that it is because, to me anyway, that everybody's being manipulated to one degree or another, or they're just straight up operatives as part of a psyop. We ran a couple of videos the other night where they were talking about the Mexican crisis as being something of a psyop, which all of these things on at least some level are, because there's always some propaganda that is involved and efforts to manufacture consent for whatever it is that the powers that be want to proceed with, like regime change or just putting pressure on a government to do whatever they wanted, to bends to their will, or to carve the world up into spheres of dominance and reset everything through a great reset, which is clearly underway. But I just thought it's just so blatantly obvious if you just watch one incident to another, and you see the same people popping up and being involved in all of these things. It's perhaps coincidental, but why so many down in, say, Puerto Vallarta at just the right moment? It could be just a coincidence because they're all down there having a vacation at the end of vacation season, leaving Canada and going to that location. But the question is why? How are they all there at the same time? Not that there were a ton of them, but enough to make me question again. Who's kind of choreographing all of this stuff behind the scenes? And we know that intelligence services do exactly that. Governments, foreign governments, all governments get involved in these activities where they will identify a protest or a particular group of people, then to get them out into the streets. If they see that a protest is coming up and they want to create chaos or division, disruption in a society, in a country, they'll throw money at it covertly, dark money, funneling it in through donations to the groups that are organizing the protests, to social media influencers who amplify the messaging and the promotion of these kinds of protests or incidents or wars or whatever they might be. Protests in the streets. How do you think they get so many people out into the streets in places like Iran? To destabilize the government. It's social media. We've shown you the proof of that, the evidence to show that often, like even Russia they have influenced through social media content two sides in a conflict to bring them together at the same place at the same time, to then clash in a protest in the streets and erupts into violence, and they'll sort of like take the snowball for each group and start rolling the two snowballs down the hill and help it along a little bit with social media posts. It's a true thing. It's just like advertising. It isn't as shadowy and even as complex as people might think that it is, or as insidious. It is pretty evil. I'll give you that, but it's not as mysterious, I guess is the right word. It's not that difficult to do it, especially with AI. We know that intelligence services, FSB, CIA, Mossad, all of them, they amplify messaging using social media, and they use AI as a force multiplier. Investigations have uncovered Russian influence operations in the United States and Canada, where one person using AI literally runs hundreds and in some cases even thousands of fake news sites with content generated through AI, spinning stories, rewriting them, fake names, fake authors, posting the stuff very quickly, using AI to get all the stuff out there. They have the best technology at their disposal. It's a scary thing. It is a form of, it's a way of weaponizing artificial intelligence. When people think of AI being weaponized, everybody instantly thinks of Terminator, robots, androids, droids, drones, controlled by AI coming to kill us. But it isn't just that. In fact, right now, maybe even a more dangerous thing is AI amplified social media content. You look at the assassination attempts on Donald Trump. You look at what happened in Tumbler Ridge. It raises very serious questions about what kind of content people who seem to be triggered are consuming before they go and act out in these ways. We've seen people set themselves on fire in public displays of defiance. It seems to me anybody that sets themselves on fire in a public way like that can't be in the right state of mind. What is it that triggers people to do these things? Micro-targeting of social media information. How do they do that? It isn't really that hard at all. You can just send stuff by email to people. You can, and these intelligence services, propaganda operations, they know how to do all of that. They know how to influence elections. And now we see what's happened in Tumbler Ridge. We've seen real questions about OpenAI. We're seeing questions about their policies as it relates to Jesse Van Rootselaar, the shooter out in Tumbler Ridge. They know that they knew this guy was a danger. They had Van Rootselaar on their radar, but they did nothing. Why? Privacy concerns. Policies, a private contract between the user of the service, OpenAI, ChatGPT, and the provider. That's what the message to me the other night was. Why do we rely on private companies for our security? That's a very complex question. These companies are regulated to some degree, but the Canadian government has limited ability, a very limited ability to control or regulate these social media companies and these AI big tech firms, which are, based primarily their offices in the United States. It's raising new questions about privacy legislation, censorship, and it also just brings up the irony. It brings up the conflicting desires of people who I have seen, even within the freedom movement, whatever that is today, who always keep calling for freedom of speech. People in the freedom movement, especially in Canada, don't want to be tracked. They don't want digital IDs. They don't want any surveillance of government. We're afraid of it. You don't want CBDCs. You're afraid. Some people are afraid to go out into the street because we're being monitored by these lampposts. But some of the same people this week calling for somebody's head on a platter from OpenAI because of the situation at Tumbler Ridge. It should show you, it should tell you something, though. It doesn't matter what the privacy laws are. It doesn't matter how much protection you have against tracking and all of these things. Somebody, some human, somewhere has access to everything you're doing online. Always. Automated systems are monitoring all of us all the time. If you do something to set off an alarm, some human someplace is going to look, and they'll be able to see everything you've done. every website you've ever gone to, every email you've ever sent. It's virtually impossible to keep your information private. It's blatantly obvious that there is no privacy, no real privacy anymore. If they want to get your information for any reason, they can get it, and they will. What happened with the Tumbler Ridge situation is they had the information, but they did not act on it. Should they have acted on it? They didn't want to give the information to the government because that would have been potentially a breach of privacy, a violation of the terms of service and the user agreement between the provider, OpenAI, and Jesse Van Rootselaar. If they're violating his rights before he's committed a crime, what can they do to you? Look at what just happened to Bill Gates in the last, 24, 48 hours? He stepped away. He canceled some speaking engagements because all that information about Epstein and the Epstein files, that's all out in the public now. There's information about him having affairs. So he stepped back into the shadows a little bit, out of the limelight, it canceled some speaking engagements, then met with, I think it was some executives. And he spilled his guts, apologized to the people in his company, saying, I'm sorry, I had affairs. I didn't do anything illicit. But my point here being, even if you're Bill Gates, multi-billionaire, he was hiding for a long time, being protected. But now that's all out and it's coming out into the open. And before the worst of the worst got out into the public, before the worst of the 6 million plus documents finally deciphered, he's trying to nip it in the bud in the best way that he can, I guess. We'll see how far it goes. A bunch of people being held accountable. It shows you this is the opposite of what people have been screaming about, though, isn't it? These files are coming out and people are sort of being held accountable. Maybe. We'll see. How corrupt is the system, or is the system functioning properly? Is there going to be any justice? And is Bill Gates really guilty of a crime, or just for being human and committing a sin, which is going to cost him a lot in terms of credibility, cost him in the court of public opinion, cost him in his personal relationships, wound him, damage him, maybe beyond repair for the rest of his life. Who knows? He's paying a price, a big price, maybe. Of course, public memory is pretty short. People are fickle. News cycles only last 24 to 48 hours these days. We'll see what the consequences, if any, are, but at least it's coming out, right? Steve Bannon falling out of favor with Trump because of his relationship with Epstein. That's because these files come out. Even these guys, they don't have any privacy. You don't have privacy. I don't have privacy. All this stuff, everything you've ever done, everything you've ever sent, everywhere, there's a record of it all now. Is that right? I don't want to be tracked. I don't want to be tracked. I'm going to de-Google my phone. I'm going to go live in the woods. That's part of the thing too, right there. This is the thing. This is what I was trying to get at last night with all the social media influencers who are down there in Mexico just in time to shoot the burning cars. Coincidence that they're there at the right place at the right time? They came all the way down from like Canada and they just happened to be there for the unrest? Maybe, could be. Or maybe they've been manipulated themselves. Maybe they don't even know. Or maybe they're being paid. Maybe they're just part of the game. We don't know. Some people are paid. Some people are government agents, controlled opposition, whatever you want to call them. Other people are just there chasing clicks. Other people are being manipulated because there are ads being placed in front of them. Here's a deal for a trip to Puerto Vallarta. You should, and these are the best times to go. This is the best rate. No, it's still not cheap enough. We're going to have somebody call and sell somebody that package. Get them down there. And you don't even know why you're there. And then you find out while you're there, but you don't even realize that that's why you're there, because they manipulated you and got you a sweetheart deal of a package, and they probably dumped enough money into your super chat to make sure you could afford the trip to get you down there. And you don't even realize it. That's how they get people out to these protests too, you know. And the thing is, you become part of the PSYOP without realizing you're part of the PSYOP, even though sometimes you're sitting there saying, this is a PSYOP, and you're telling everyone it's a PSYOP, but then the messaging you're delivering is actually part of the PSYOP. See how that is pretty insidious. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. Let's just push all that aside and say it's a theory. Maybe not so much a conspiracy. But you can judge for yourself. There are no coincidences in politics, right? Or are there? Inquiring minds want to know. And it can turn into horrific things. And we saw that in a Tumbler Ridge. That's what's gross. Okay? That's what's gross. The N-word. I'm inclined to start calling everybody a damn Nazi now because somebody told me I'm not allowed to use the word. Especially if it fits. And the reason I'm inclined to do that is because of seeing like Tucker Carlson online. Who was he doing the interview with? I don't remember what program he was on, but he started using the F word. I'm afraid to use it here on YouTube because I might get censored for using that. Compelled speech. It's still alive and well on the left, and this is on the right. You can't call anybody the N-word. Not that N-word, the other N-word. Oh, that's even worse. So they're all the same. They're all the same. Just go look in the chat. They don't believe in free speech. They just believe in tearing everything down and being dickheads. Congratulations. Mission accomplished. We're in a lot of trouble. A lot of mistakes from the past being repeated. I guess that's why I'm here. Because a lot of those mistakes being repeated are aimed at destroying our country, tearing everything down. What happened out in Tumbler Ridge, one way or another, it's been politicized on many levels. So it plays into the whole game too, which is very, very gross too, because so many families suffering. All the way around, it's been toxic. It's been awful. I see the threats against, I guess, one of the, at least one of the families, multiple families maybe, out there, which is just off the charts sick. Who's really behind that, though? This is the thing. When it comes to the politics these days, you don't know really where it's coming from, because sometimes you got people on the left pretending to be people on the right doing stupid things to embarrass the people on the right when in fact they're on the left, and vice versa. I see that pleb guy. Don't know him. Don't really care to know him. Being accused. Well, people are saying, look at the terrible thing that he did out in Tumbler Ridge. He identified a person before as the shooter, before the identity of the shooter had been confirmed, put a picture up of somebody on his social media account saying, this is the transgender shooter. So eager was that guy to pin it on a transgender person that a picture went up, but it wasn't the right person. Now, I don't know if he's back online or not. I guess he's gone into hiding or something. These are the posts that I'm seeing. And a lot of some conservative influencers criticizing the pleb for being careless and stupid and discrediting the conservative movement, the people on the right, with doing something stupid. Looks like some people want to sue him. not completely familiar with everything that he did or why he did it and the timing and so on, but I do know that when you do something like that, there are consequences sometimes. Well, there are always consequences. But will he be held accountable? He uses a fake name too, the pleb. It's a character. It's not a real name. He has a real name and it's out there, but the pleb ain't a name. That's not journalism. I know that. In any event, that's just one element to all of this. So we've seen this meeting. Artificial Intelligence Minister Evan Solomon expressing disappointment after a meeting with senior officials from OpenAI about the Tumbler Ridge situation. And the meeting, of course, followed the revelations that this California-based company banned the ChatGPT account of the Tumbler Ridge mass shooter months before the February 10th tragedy, but they did not alert police to the contents of whatever it was that led to that. Solomon says officials were disappointed that OpenAI did not provide substantial answers during the discussion, and they are pressing the company to deliver more concrete responses. OpenAI banned the account, which belonged to the 18-year-old shooter, back in June, stating at the time that the activity did not meet their threshold for notifying law enforcement, as it did not indicate credible or imminent planning for harm. I know that some AI employees wanted to do something, but in the end, it was decided that that would not happen because reports indicate that the account was flagged for troubling content, including scenarios involving gun violence. So Evan Solomon says the government expected OpenAI to outline specific changes to its protocols following the horrific events in Tumbler Ridge, but no substantial new safety measures have been presented beyond some adjustments to their models at this point. The minister indicating that additional meetings are anticipated to receive further updates from the company. He has not ruled out the possibility of the federal government introducing its own regulations. But of course, whenever the Canadian government talks about doing anything to regulate or temper what's going on with these tech companies, the Trump administration weighs in and they start freaking out, shouting, censorship, censorship. You can't do that. Even, I think, potentially ramping up tariffs if the government does anything to impose any kind of regulations on any of these big tech companies like OpenAI or X, Elon Musk, the king of the technocrats. Why? Money, 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 control. Because foreign influence. What do you think they're doing with these social media platforms? They're feeding us all. They've all got us on a steady intravenous mental matrix drip of propaganda. It's all a giant psyop coming into our heads. They're regulating everything I can do. They're throttling me. They're allowing this stuff to go out. Sometimes they're outright banning me on platforms like Facebook. Some people, they want amplified, other people not so much. The people trying to tear the country apart, cause destabilization, they seem to get a whole lot of views these days. People saying, hey, maybe we ought not tear the country apart and rip everything down, destroy everything so that we can reset it all. Yeah, maybe not quite so many views over here, but that's okay. We carry on. It is kind of insidious. It really is. Here's Michelle Rempel Gardner, one of the MPs, a series of MPs today, commenting on the government's AI policy. And of course, it's all related to what happened out in Tumbler Ridge. So we have quite a few clips on this tonight. And then we're going to get into really why the U.S. government is so opposed to any kind of government regulation in Canada and other countries when it comes to social media and AI. Here's Michelle Rumpel-Garner on the conservative side, Parliament Hill, Canada.
All the statement that Minister Solomon made about OpenAI, as well as the CBC story on Minister Diab today. I'll start with the OpenAI comments. I am very concerned about the government's capacity and willingness to address artificial intelligence policy writ large. I've been talking about this issue for 3 years. I started talking about it almost immediately after the release of ChatGPT in late 2022, and started raising even just basic concerns like the fact that we still, 3 years later, don't have a law in place to prevent intimate images that have been created with artificial intelligence from being distributed in non-consensual ways. I put a bill in place on that several years ago now, and I am concerned about the government's pace on addressing this issue. I certainly don't see it as a front burner issue, but I think if you read the media, you can see that there's a story every day. Even things I've written about, for example, whether or not Canada's immigration policy and immigration levels are taking into consideration potential disruptions that artificial intelligence is going to have, or is predicted to have, in certain job sectors. So today I'm definitely calling upon the government to take this issue a little bit more seriously, to be less reactive, and to restate that Conservatives are willing to collaborate with the government on smart policy. And certainly discussions about the topic, at least. A couple of years ago, I started the Parliamentary Caucus on Emerging Technology to educate colleagues across political stripes so that we could go back to our caucuses with a base level of understanding of the technology and some of the both opportunities and challenges that it creates. But certainly I think that events are outpacing the government's both willingness and capacity to address the issue. So just reiterating calls for the government to get on that today. And then also, with regard to the CBC story on Minister Diab, look,
we're going to pull out of that. That's a different story. So we'll just try and keep things focused here a bit. Let's go over here now. I just want to say, too, as much as I'm talking about these social media influencers down in Mexico, the point that I'm making is I'm being manipulated, too. So there's always that. It's affecting my worldview, the way I see reality. I realize that the things I was shown as a child still influence the way that I view the world today, the way that I view communism, the way I've been viewing Cuba, Mexico, Russia, the world, the universe, all influenced, heavy duty influence. That results in prejudice. That can also result in bigotry. It can just result in bad judgment. That's why I always say, I'm not here telling you the absolute truth, and you should question everything that I tell you, because I could be manipulated right now. I'm trying to resist that and keep things as real as I can to get everybody closer to the truth. Closer to the truth. Absolute truth, that's an elusive thing. Back to Parliament Hill we go, where the Prime Minister and other members of the government, including the Artificial Intelligence Minister, Evan Solomon, commenting on the meeting, the situation in Tumbler Ridge, starting with Mark Carney.
I have not been debriefed by Minister Solomon yet on OpenAI. I look forward to that, and Minister Alessandri. We will be following up. I sat with the families of Tumbler Ridge, met with the first responders, saw the horror that what happened and the pain that's been caused. Obviously, anything that anyone could have done to prevent that tragedy or future tragedies must be done. We will fully explore it to the full lengths of law and we'll be very transparent about that process.
Monsieur Carney, faites-vous confiance à votre ministre de l'immigration?
Je suis béni d'un cabinet exceptionnel. I'm blessed with an exceptional cabinet and we're working forward for Canadians.
Sectorial tariffs, Prime Minister.
I want to hear you talk about ChatGPT. Sure. What you told them, and what are you guys going to do about that?
So first, I was glad to be able to join my colleagues, Minister Solomon, Miller, and Ananda Sangri, to meet with senior officials from OpenAI. I think it's just important in this conversation we center what's really important. There are families who've lost children that they will never get back. And the test that we have to ask ourselves about is, can we honestly look somebody in the face who's been through a tragedy like this and tell them with certainty that we're doing absolutely everything we can to make sure that this kind of a tragedy will never happen again.
Do you trust companies like OpenAI to keep Canadians safe, given what you learned in this meeting about their internal assessments?
Look, to me, trust is going to be earned. We need to actually see what changes are going to be forthcoming, both from the company's point of view, but we also need to identify the best path forward. The message that we delivered in no uncertain terms was that we have an expectation that there are going to be changes implemented, and if they're not forthcoming very quickly, the government's going to be making changes. We have an opportunity. Sorry, I just couldn't hear.
United States-based companies for this kind of trust?
Look, I never think we should just automatically put our trust in any particular company from any particular jurisdiction. We need to trust their behavior, not their reputation. The reality here is we need to see concrete measures that are going to be put forward. Specifically, there are challenges that were referred to in Minister Solomon's statement after the meeting last night around the assessment of credibility and imminence when a threat is in fact detected. We need to ask ourselves, is that the right test, and why was there a failure to properly administer that assessment in this instance to make sure that we can have faith that these kinds of things are not going to happen?
Where were they lacking? Where would they fall short in your perspective? Is it that their policies weren't followed, or that their policies themselves fell short?
So first, I think it's important that there is an investigation that's going off, and we don't want to interfere with the ability of the RCMP to fully and to its completion understand what's taken place. There were certain systemic issues that were raised that I think do need to be addressed, despite the fact that over the last number of years the technology's been advancing rapidly. Even when the technology does its job, there can still be a human failure. That failure can be a result of having the wrong test in place, and it can be a result of not properly making an assessment under the test that you use. Specifically, and Minister Solomon's statement alluded to this, there are issues around the assessment on credibility of a threat and the imminence of a threat that, in my view, if properly administered, could prevent tragedies on a go-forward basis.
To what extent those assessments apply also to the gun laws? Because we've learned that the guns in that house have been taken away because of mental health issues, and they were given back. Isn't that part of the problem also, and should we not review those regulations?
So the facts of a given set of circumstances are going to be highly contextual and very specific. Just to respect the ability of law enforcement to fully investigate, I don't want to start speculating about what details may emerge. But in general terms, we need to be able to ensure, regardless of the nature of the threat, if it's serious, if it has the potential to be carried out, that we give law enforcement the tools to prevent that tragedy in the first place. This is obviously going to engage conversations in some instances about firearms, but it would be a much broader conversation than that alone.
But if you
So it's clear that we want to be doing more to protect Canadians from a government point of view. That's why we had 4 Canadian ministers meet with officials to identify both what a private sector company might do, but also what legal changes may be put in place to better protect Canadians. Minister Solomon's right here. I'd allow him to.
Online harmsmen. We are about their escalation thresholds and their safety protocols, but we expected them to come with some concrete solutions so Canadians can feel comfortable that this kind of tragedy may be avoided. We didn't get into the details of the case for obvious reasons, and we are disappointed that they did not provide any concrete proposals. Now, they did say, after we expressed our disappointment, they will come back.
But is Minister
Fraser.
Fraser, thank you so much. Early morning. Just said if they can't come with concrete proposals to consider legislation, they're not the only company with this kind of technology. So, at what point do you feel like legislation is required?
Well, look, we've got a suite of legislation on AI that we're considering. We've already got C-16 on the non-consensual sharing of sexualized imagery that the Justice Minister's got. I've got the legislation on PIPEDA, updating our legislation. Then Mark Miller is working on online harms. But look, we told this company we want to see some hard proposals, some concrete action. All options are on the table in terms of how we may approach this from the online harms and from our suite of measures, and we're very open to that.
Why are you proposals, though, are you looking for? Like, can you give more specifics?
We are looking for proposals that have to do with the escalation thresholds as to when they would escalate, at what point does both their human and their technical protocols kick in to they report to the police? How do they do that with law enforcement? They're sifting through billions and billions of pieces of data, and we want to see what their thresholds are. I'm right here.
Did a failure occur in this case, in the Tumbler Ridge case? Did OpenAI fail?
Of course a failure occurred here. I mean, look what happened. I mean, this is a horrific tragedy. I'm not going to comment on the details of the case and culpabilities. That is not for me to decide. But I will say this. We want to ensure that this does not happen again. OpenAI came up here when we summoned them to talk about their safety thresholds and their protocols. We've seen the reports. We were really disturbed by the reports that there might have been an opportunity to escalate this to law enforcement further. And we want to make sure if any company has that opportunity, they would escalate further.
Do you want to look some? Do you want to have some regulations for all companies and not just OpenAI? I mean, there are.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, this would have broad application to the technology, but we specifically, in this case, wanted answers on their safety protocols. I will meet with my colleagues after last night's meeting. We are looking at this, and as I say, all options are on the table. Well, we are absolutely looking at what the thresholds are and making sure that there would be a broader application. But again, in the wake of the horrific tragedy at Tumbler Ridge, and again, like, our job is not to politicize a horrible tragedy. I mean, you know, we got to be careful here. There's an ongoing criminal case, and this is, this is a massacre. But that's why. But that is, well, we are. Look, we got back on Sunday from India. We had brought 5 of them, flew up from the United States on Tuesday. We are moving very expeditiously. We have told them all options are on the table, and we'll get back to you with what their concrete proposals will look like.
Why are you waiting? Why are you waiting
for this? Message for Tumbler, just on a human level. What does that say to you?
So I didn't hear your question.
Mr. Parkland last night was asked about, does he have anything to say to the people of Tumbler Ridge? He stayed silent. What do you make of that?
I mean, look, I'm not here to comment on them, their views. I will tell you this. They came up here. We asked them, get up here and give us an explanation. They came up here on Tuesday. We are looking forward to some concrete proposals. We are disappointed that by the time they came up here, they did not have something more concrete to offer, but we'll see very shortly what they have.
Did they acknowledge a failure occurred? Did they acknowledge a failure occurred?
$8 million for
Bonjour tout le monde.
We don't need to hear from Anita and Anand there. We'll move on because we have other ground to cover with this story, this AI story, because OpenAI is not just on the hot seat and under scrutiny in Canada. They're under a lot of pressure from the Pentagon. I'll tell you why when we come back.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom.
suicide note. One's in a grave, the other still tweets. The truth took a dive 6,000 feet. The cameras broke. That's not a joke. The gods were napping, the laws were gone, and everyone smiled like nothing's wrong. Nobody talks, just shadow walks. National security took the stage while justice quietly disengaged. We can't release the names to protect the victims. And also Donald Trump. Coincidence? Just dumb luck. Right? Another sealed file. That crocodile smile. We did our best, says the DOJ, while the truth just fades away. Another new spin. No one will win except the rich guys with gold ID cards and closets full of secrets behind steel bars. Just a little glitch. A billionaire's privilege. That's the sound of the case. Closed.
We're back. OpenAI in hot water, not just in Canada over the Tumbler Ridge situation, but also in the United States. Pete Hegseth, he wants access to all that technology. Tonight's thumbnail says Pentagon weaponizes or weaponizing AI. It's true. Not just the United States. All major governments trying to find ways to leverage AI, artificial intelligence, for military purposes. I've been talking about the use of AI in information warfare. I think that might be its most dangerous application. I think they've been using it. Well, I know they've been using it for years already, warping people's minds. I've said in some cases they are weaponizing mental illness. Either intentionally or unintentionally, it's happening. You're seeing some people who are psychologically vulnerable being driven off a cliff or maybe down a deep, dark hole. And it's scary there because there be monsters down there. But they're also using it for kinetic weapons. In fact, this was a year ago, and this is not, and now the United States is not the only country able to do this. Here's a report on a dogfight that was completed, the very first dogfight ever, between a human-piloted F-16 and an AI-controlled F-16. This is a year ago now.
A first for aerial combat, as an autonomous fighter jet has managed to successfully engage in dogfighting manoeuvres against a manned F-16. The AI-controlled aircraft faced off against the human pilot at Edwards Air Base in California. This marks a major breakthrough in autonomous capability for aerial combat. The two F-16 jets practice both defensive and offensive manoeuvres at speeds of up to 1,200 miles per hour and engaged in visual range combat, coming within 2,000 feet of each other. X-62A Variable Stability In-Flight Simulator test aircraft, known as Vista, is a modified version of an F-16 fitted with an AI program. The system uses an algorithm to analyse data to make real-time decisions in the air. The machine learning process is designed to copy how pilots hone their dogfighting skills during their training and service. The jet has been developing its capability on 21 test flights and more than 17 flight hours. The breakthrough, which happened in September but has only just been announced, has been described as a transformational moment in aerospace history. David Civils-McCann, Forces News.
Yeah. But wait, there's more. In fact, maybe even scarier stuff. We know that Ukraine is being used, the war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine, in its 4th year now, this week marking the 4-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which was supposed to be over in 3 days, stretched into 4 years. Russia, Putin, still calling it a special military operation, not using the word war. He may have used it once or twice, but it's officially a special military operation. Again, that's part of the PSYOP. That is framing a war for people in a way that makes it palatable, even as we see horrific death, massive numbers of casualties. Some estimates just on the Russian side alone, 30, 40,000 a month in some cases. But hey, it's just a special military operation. But we know that battle, that war is being used as a testing ground for different kinds of military technology, weapons technology, AI. We brought you a story about 6 months ago about an artificial intelligence system that is being tested in the field to predict the movements of troops, predict what is going to happen in the battlefield before it happens, predict the future. With AI, they're using the technology to literally predict the future. It seems that there is real value to this for military applications, that it can actually work. If you can predict the future, that's incredibly powerful. Imagine if you can then use that same kind of technology for things like predicting what's going to happen in the stock market. Where does that leave our society? How disruptive is all of that? That's an economic rupture, as Mark Carney might say. Very scary stuff. And if you know where your enemy is going to be before your enemy knows they're going to be there, you definitely have the upper hand. It boggles the mind, and that is sort of the point, right? And we're going to get to Pete Hegseth in a moment, because what he's been saying is actually very scary. But, you know, it's these big tech companies like Palantir who are saying things like, battles are won before they begin. That's the caption in this Army versus Navy commercial produced way back in 2024 now. This posted in December of 2024. It's a promotional propaganda advertisement for Palantir, but this is way back then. And at the accelerated rate that we are seeing the growth and the increase in the sophistication of the AI technology, it makes me wonder how far along we are now, because it's happening at a rapid pace. Back in 2024, I don't think we were even, I didn't really have any access to AI. So just at the consumer level, we have it now, and it's very powerful stuff. This was 2024. Battles are won before they begin, because Palantir can predict the future, or at least plan for it using AI in ways that are unprecedented. Imagine what they have now. Major Wheels Company, That's the future of warfare. That's the reality of warfare already. It's out there. They're using it in Ukraine. They're testing it. Zelensky saying that World War III has actually already started. That was a quote from the past 24 hours. Canada in play. Cuba, Venezuela, Greenland, NATO disrupted. Not really clear where Donald Trump's loyalties lie. We know he lies. We know that, but we don't know where his loyalties lie. It's not really clear, except maybe with the almighty dollar, profiting off the war in Ukraine, selling the arms. It's not cool. It's dangerous. It's disturbing. I don't know where you draw the line. That's the big question tonight. That's the question posed to me from the person who I don't really want to use their name, but they sent me that question. Rick, why are we letting a private company, that is OpenAI, manage or deal with our security, was the question. I'm paraphrasing. Where are the guardrails? Well, you see the federal government in Canada, they want guardrails. They've been drafting legislation which deals with social media, censorship issues, trying to find a balance there in their legislation. And every piece of legislation they've come up with has met with stiff resistance, freakouts from people on the freedom side who are like, you can't do that. That's censorship. That's authoritarianism. This is a dictatorship. I see those knee-jerk reactions. And yet now you've got the situation out in Tumbler Ridge, and the same people, probably some people here tonight. I'm not looking in the chat right now, but I know a lot of you are like, well, he's full of crap. That guy, he doesn't want to do anything. We need action. We need the government to clamp down on this. Well, that's censorship. So you can't have it both ways. It's a difficult question, right? Where do you find the balance? I think maybe one of the reasons the question was posed to me was, I think the real question might have been, they're probably just protecting a transgender person. They don't want to use that information. That's really why they're doing it. I don't know. Maybe that's why. I don't know why I got that question. But it is the question that is front and center. The government's trying to address it. Doesn't matter what they do. They're going to be attacked by one side or the other, all sides. Damned if they do, damned if they don't. And I'll tell you this, they're going to be, sure as hell, they're going to be attacked by Pete Hegseth. Secretary of War. That guy, he does scare me. Scares the hell out of me, that guy. He's a loose cannon. Yeah, tensions are rising between the Pentagon and Anthropic over military use of the firm's powerful AI model, Claude. As I said, not just in Canada, in the United States too. We're seeing the trust is breaking down between the two sides. Stakes are high here. There was a meeting. And again, how coincidental that all this is happening at the same time? I don't know. Again, coincidence that you're having OpenAI meetings in both Canada and in Ottawa and at the Pentagon at the same time? Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has given Anthropic CEO Dario Amati a firm deadline by the end of this week, specifically 5 p.m. Friday. He wants a document signed granting the military full, unrestricted access to Claude. The Pentagon wants complete control over the technology for its operations. This is like something out of a sci-fi horror flick. We will take all of your technology. We will do what we want with it. Anthropic received a $200 million defense contract last July to help advance U.S. national security with AI. But the company is pushing back. They've repeatedly asked for guardrails to prevent Claude from being used in mass surveillance of Americans or for final targeting decisions in combat without human oversight. Guardrails. Those are politically correct. We can't have that. We just want to win. We're the Department of War. We do whatever it takes to just win. Are you tired of winning yet? Anthropic is arguing the model isn't reliable enough. They're saying it's prone to hallucinations. It could lead to deadly mistakes or unintended escalation if left fully autonomous. The Pentagon officials, including Hegseth, insist they're only seeking a license for lawful activities, but they make the laws, don't they? They make all the rules. And we're seeing that when it comes to the rules, they don't have any. They just make them up as they go along. No international rules for them, just whatever they decide. And if they don't meet, if they don't serve their purpose, political or otherwise, they just sidestep them, do an end run, make up a new rule, a new law. That's what they've been doing. We'll just go in and kidnap this country's president. We'll go in here and just we'll blockade that whole country and cut off. No food, no water, no oil, no money, no nothing until you capitulate. Until you give up your nuclear arms. Everybody needs the nukes now, right? This is why. Because there are no more rules. The rules are breaking down. If there are no rules, if it's might makes right, then everybody wants might. They want to be able to have a seat at the table, or as Mark Carney says, you'll end up on the menu. It's all destabilizing. It's all falling apart. And now with AI, everything's being taken to a whole new place. And I'm pretty sure Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, doesn't have the wisdom to guide the nation or the world through this in a way that will keep the peace. He's saying, that other AI firms like XAI with Grok from Elon Musk are cooperating on classified use. Others are close behind, they say. OpenAI, Anthropics, they're at least they seem to be concerned to a degree. But you know what's going to happen. They're going to bend the knee. They're going to give them what they want. But see, this whole anti-woke thing, now it's taking on a new context. It's being used in a new way. These word games, this attitude, this anti-woke, anti-liberal battle, this war on liberalism, that's being used to justify the use of artificial intelligence for military purposes, to weaponize AI. Listen to this guy. Listen to what he is saying. This was just this was recently in an address where he's saying that AI used by the Department of War will not be woke.
Department of War AI will not be woke. We're excited to announce the next frontier AI model company to join GenAI.mil, and that is Grok from XAI, which will go live later this month. Very soon, we will have the world's leading AI models on every unclassified and classified network throughout our department. Long overdue. And we will not employ AI models that won't allow you to fight wars. We will judge AI models on this standard alone. Factually accurate, mission relevant, without ideological constraints that limit lawful military applications. Department of War AI will not be woke. It will work for us. We're building war-ready weapons and systems, not chatbots for an Ivy League faculty lounge. Department of War AI.
could go wrong. It won't be woke. What does that mean? No rules. That's what it means. They don't want guardrails. They're going to use it for autonomous targeting. They're going to use it. You can bet on it. Are you scared yet? I am, man. That guy scares me. No ideological constraints. No ideological constraints. Wow. Again, that just means no rules. If there are no rules, no constraints, do whatever the hell they want. Do whatever the hell they want. They're going to make Canada do what they want. See, everybody's right now screaming for the government to protect them by censoring people that they can point a finger at and blame, right? That's really what it is. I mean, and it is being politicized, that Tumbler Ridge shooting. The timing is just all too convenient. All coming together at just the right moment. Coincidence? Even Steve Bannon, Fred of Jeffrey Epstein, has said many times, when it comes to politics, there are no coincidences. He's not a dumb guy, maybe not the wisest. But I think there's truth in that. And it makes me wonder too, you know, there's that old saying, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? They're weaponizing artificial intelligence. They've already weaponized it. Now they want to take it to a whole new level. They want to use this for kinetic weapons. They want to take it to a whole new level for psychological warfare, psyops, information warfare, to unleash it on us, on the world. We already have trouble figuring out what's real and what's fake. We can't tell what's going on. I don't know how much is a psyop. The perspectives, context, online, it's hard to know how serious things are, how dangerous a situation is anymore. Our trust in our institutions, in our news media, in our police services, in our hospitals, our healthcare system, our governments, everything, all the things that hold our society together are already falling apart. We don't have trust in anything anymore. We don't know who to believe. We're being told by some social media influencers like Tucker Carlson and many others, can't believe anything they're telling you. They're lying to you. But I know for a fact that Tucker Carlson lies his ass off about a lot of things. I've seen him do it, so I can't trust him either. Who the hell can I trust? Because I can't even believe my own lying eyes anymore, because I can't even tell if a turboprop aircraft or a propeller-driven aircraft that I see in a video, or like there were 9 of them flying in formation in the sky against a blue sky, and the caption is that these are being used by the Mexican Air Force for support operations during this anti-drug cartel thing. I can't even tell if that's real, because it looks like, and the information I'm getting back is that that's recycled footage from an air show involving P-51 Mustangs. It could be, but it might not be. It could be these T-6 Texan aircraft supplied to the Mexican military by Raytheon, but there's no evidence that those things actually flew. I don't know. So I can't tell if an airplane flying in the sky is real anymore, or if it's old, or whether it's our AI. What's going to happen when they unleash AI in a weaponized form on various levels using various kinds of, like, why do you need a pilot anymore? You don't. Why do you even need fighter jets? You've got swarms. If you saw it, like, could you imagine all those drones just thinking for themselves, flying into your neighborhood, slaughtering people because they've gone berserk, or they're following some evil maniac's orders? And Isaac Asimov and, the rule not to harm humans right out the window, because Pete Hegseth had one too many on a Friday night and decided that the Department of War wasn't going to have any woke AI. I'm in favor of some guardrails, because there's that old saying that comes to mind too, as I just kind of close things off tonight. I'm scared as hell and I don't want to take it anymore, but that's not the saying. It's like, I have to ask this question. If AI is not going to have guardrails because it's not going to be woke, that's just a way of saying we're going to unleash it and just let it do it, because we just want to win. So then I have to ask that question in a new way, the art question. Does artificial and, well, I'll flip it around the other way. Does life influence or tell AI what to do? Or in the end, will AI influence life? Tell us what to do. Think about it. We'll have more tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side.
Biden's about, Charlie's alive. Elvis flips burgers on the Lower East Side. 10 Trumps mask up on your phone. Shilling mean coins by remote drone. Graphene needles in your veins. Chemtrail sugar fries your brain. George Floyd's American hologram pie. Don't trust your lying eyes. It's all fake. It's all fake. The moon is a hoax. Give your head a shake. It's all fake. It's all fake. Your mama's a
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.